For over 50 years we've believed that mankind first walked on the moon in 1969. The grainy images of Neil Armstrong taking that one small step are etched in our collective memory. But what if everything we know is a lie? Millions watched it live. But decades later, doubts began to emerge. Shadows that don't seem to add up, a flag waving in the supposed vacuum of space. These are just some of the many questions raised by skeptics. Let's investigate, using real science and real evidence. Are you ready to challenge everything you thought you knew? Alright, space cadets, let's dive into one of the most iconic images of the Apollo 11 mission, the American flag planted on the lunar surface. Now we know there's no atmosphere on the moon. So why does the flag seem to wave? Is it wind, or something else? NASA claims the flag's movement was due to the way astronauts twisted the pole while planting it. Makes sense, right? And we actually see similar movements in vacuum experiments when fabric is disturbed. It's all about the physics of motion, folks. But hold on, our skeptical side kicks in, because some eagle-eyed viewers notice something else. The flag appears to ripple, even when the astronauts are nowhere near it. Was this a simple mistake in the filming, an editing oversight, or something more? You decide. Now let's talk shadows. On the moon, the only light source should be the sun, right? So, logically all shadows should run parallel to each other. Simple physics. But here's where things get interesting. When we look closely at some of the Apollo photographs, we see shadows pointing in different directions, almost as if multiple light sources were used. Now NASA argues that the uneven lunar surface can cause shadows to appear distorted in photographs, and they have a point. Perspective can play tricks on the eye, but some images show perfectly parallel objects casting non-parallel shadows. Photographers claim this effect is only possible with artificial lighting, the kind you'd find on a film set. Could this be evidence of a staged event? Could those iconic moon landing photos have been shot right here on Earth? Let's turn our attention to the blackness of space. That vast expanse dotted with billions upon billions of stars. It's a breathtaking sight. So if astronauts were really in space, orbiting the moon, why don't we see a single star in any of the Apollo photographs? The sky should be filled with them. NASA offers a technical explanation for this. They say the camera exposure settings were optimized for the bright lunar surface, which would have made the relatively faint stars invisible. Plus, astronauts confirmed they could see stars with their own eyes. Okay, fair enough. But here's the thing. Why do some Apollo missions mention seeing stars, while others claim they couldn't? Is this just a case of human memory being, well, human? Or is there a deeper inconsistency lurking beneath the surface? We're left with more questions than answers. Now, to reach the moon, astronauts had to pass through what we call the Van Allen radiation belts. These are these donut-shaped regions of charged particles trapped in Earth's magnetic field. And trust me, you don't want to hang out there for too long. Even NASA admits these belts are extremely dangerous. In fact, Dr. James Van Allen, the very scientist who discovered these belts, said prolonged exposure would be lethal. And here's the kicker. Some engineers today argue that we still don't have the technology to safely transport humans through the Van Allen belts. In a recent interview, NASA engineer Kelly Smith even admitted that shielding against that level of radiation remains a significant challenge. So, how did those brave astronauts in 1969, with their 1960s technology and what some might call a tin can spacecraft, survive that radiation bombardment? Okay, so we've presented some compelling evidence that raises doubts about the moon landing, but let's play devil's advocate for a moment. Why would NASA orchestrate such an elaborate hoax? What would be the motive? Well, some argue that NASA faked the moon landing to win the space race against the Soviet Union. Remember, this was the Cold War, a time of intense rivalry between superpowers. America desperately needed a victory, a symbol of its technological prowess. Could a fake moon landing have been the ultimate propaganda tool? A way to declare victory in the eyes of the world? Let's look at the evidence. In 2006, NASA made a startling admission. They had lost the original moon landing tapes. The ones with the raw, unedited footage? Lost? Come on. And then there's the Stanley Kubrick theory. You know Kubrick, right? The visionary director behind 2001, A Space Odyssey, one of the most realistic space films ever made. Some people believe that NASA secretly recruited Kubrick to direct the fake moon landing. I mean, the guy clearly knew his stuff. Is this all just a series of unfortunate coincidences? or is there a more calculated cover-up at play? So, did we actually land on the moon, or is this one of history's greatest illusions? A carefully constructed narrative designed to fool the masses? The evidence is contradictory, shrouded in mystery. We may never know the full truth. Maybe those grainy images we've seen countless times really do hold the key to unraveling this enigma. Or perhaps the answers lie buried deep within classified government files hidden from public view. But one thing's for sure, the human desire to explore, to push the boundaries of what's possible, is as real as it gets. Keep questioning, keep searching, and keep your mind open to the wonders and the conspiracies of the universe. What do you think? Was the moon landing real or fake? Let me know in the comments below.